Jate yogi. Samalo shrashma kanchana. You know the mothers like to chant. Gnana vijnana triptatma. Kutasto vijitendriyaha. Utaichutyate yogi. Samalo shrashma kanchana. Anyone else? Gnana vijnana triptatma. Kutasto vijitendriyaha. Yukta ichyutyate yogi. Samaloshashma kanchana. Okay, thank you. So now we'll go for the word for word. Jnanam, by acquired knowledge. Vijnanam, and realized knowledge. Triptam, satisfied. Atmam, a living entity. Kutam, staham, spiritually situated. Vijitam, indriyaham, sensually controlled. Yuktaham, competent for self-realization. Iti, thus. Uchyate is said. Yogi, a mystic. Samam, equipoised. Loshram, pebbles. Ashmam, stone. Kanchanaham, gold. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. Purport. Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. This is stated as follows. Ata Shri Krishna namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyahi sevonmukhi jivado swayameva spuratyada. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.234. The Bhagavad Gita this Bhagavad Gita is a science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure Krishna consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in his convictions. But by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. It is the realized soul who is actually self-control because he is surrendered to Krishna. He is transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to the others, are of no greater value than pebbles or stones. So I'm going to chant a few prayers and then we're going to get right into it. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tafpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vatamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine Nija Guru Harivanya Krishna Chitto Vichinto Parihita Pitrige Hadyanda Sangsara Kupaha Prabhu Bhajana Sukabdo Madjayan Swam Svavishvo Bhuvi Jayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Shivakshasi Yasyaste Hridaye Samvit Tam Nrsimham Aham Bhaje Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we're reading from this really ecstatic verse and purport because it helps us understand what equal vision actually means. What does it actually mean to have to actually have transcendental vision, and what is real self-realization? So the point that's being hammered here over and over and over again is that the whole do-it-yourself spiritual process does not work. We have so many people, they have so many suggestions that, yes, if I do, you don't need a guru. You'll find many people who write books, that actually I have a question for the audience. Should I rather just sit on the chair so everyone can see me, or should I just stay here like this? Fine the way I am? Okay, awesome. So, you'll see this, in many so-called spiritual books. The guru's right, or the person writing the book says, actually, you don't need a guru. And actually, you don't need to read books, really. And they write that and they publish it, and so many people are asked to read it. But then, if we don't need a guru, and if we have to listen to what you're saying, then if you tell us we don't need a guru, then we take your advice, we're accepting you as a guru. So it's a philosophical fallacy that you can say, oh, you don't really need a teacher, but you're teaching someone that they don't need a teacher. Therefore, it's a philosophical fallacy. It doesn't really work. Therefore, if a person wants to get real knowledge, they have to go and acquire knowledge from a person who already has the knowledge. For example, if a person really wants to learn how to make a particular dish, right? So what they could go do is they could go to a restaurant and order the dish and eat it. And then with every bite they take, they could try to speculate and see, oh, maybe it's this ingredient in there and that ingredient in there and this ingredient in. They may try to figure it out, and they may try to speculate, and they may try to experiment. And after maybe 100 experiments, maybe then they could get the exact dish down. But what does that do? It wastes a whole lot of time. It wastes a whole lot of time. And secondly, what it also does is that the person may not exactly get the recipe down the way they actually get it. So how would you actually get the proper recipe? How would we do it? We would go to the cook and we would ask the cook, how did you do this? And the cook will actually tell us that this is how it's made. We can even see in universities, people pay so much money to go to universities and for them to go and hear from people who actually have a lot of knowledge, right? Like a person who's performing a PhD. What is expected from the teacher? What is expected from the teacher is that they are a person who's experienced in the knowledge of the field. The person who's experienced in knowledge of the field. If they're not experienced in knowledge of the field, then why would we go and learn from them? Let's just say you're going to study quantum physics. You're a PhD. You're going to study PhD in some great university. I don't know, Stanford or something like this. But then the guy who is teaching you is really good at cleaning bathrooms, but he does not know anything about physics. Will you go and learn from him? No. Why? Because he doesn't look good. Probably you know more than him. Because he does not have the proper qualification, right? So similarly, over here, the point that's being made repeatedly is the importance of having an actual teacher to teach us how to perform activities and how not to perform activities. If we do not have a teacher to teach us, especially spiritual knowledge, especially people think for everything else you may need a teacher, but to be spiritual, you do not need a teacher. And then the minute we take an advice, we take that advice or accepting that person as a teacher. So, for spiritual knowledge, especially, a lot of training is required. A lot of, a person needs to actually become a disciple. A person needs to actually get disciplined and try to understand what real spiritual life is. That's why the Bhagavad Gita recommends, Krishna recommends in the Bhagavad Gita, it's a very important verse. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upatikshanti te jnanam jnanana sattvadarshinaha. It's a very important verse. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. It's a very important verse. It's important for us to understand. Why? Because this is the process by which a person actually gets knowledge. A person does not get spiritual knowledge just by sitting and focusing it upon themselves. Is that many people are very attracted to what is known as Aroha Pantha, which means like the ascending process. that we want to sit in a particular place and we want to ascend to a certain platform of knowledge, that we sit here and we try to speculate, oh, that it's like this, oh, it's like that. And, we try to differentiate and try to understand how not to do, what spiritual life really is. But this only goes so far. How far can trying to speculate about the nature of the absolute truth take us? It's a very short thing. It's a very limited thing. And because it's so limited, and because we are so limited, for example, do we know that there's okay? So how much can a human ear hear? Anyone know? It's like a certain amount, right? Like 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz or something like. If your ears are good, but these days with all the headphones and the earphones and the loud rock and roll and EDM concerts, I don't know how much of that we can hear. But a human being on an average can hear between 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Does that mean that's the only like a realm of sound that's present on the planet? No. It means that there is a lot more sound that's present on the planet, but we do not have access to it. We do not have access to it, right? And we could try to see how an elephant could hear. And the elephant has really good sense of hearing. So do dogs. They have really good sense of hearing. And I'm sure there's other animals also. They have really good sense of hearing. But, we cannot experience what they experience. We cannot experience. We can know through experimental knowledge that, okay, maybe it's like this, maybe it's like that. Or maybe we can even make up some machines where we could actually hear what the dog and all of them are hearing. Maybe that's possible. Maybe we can hear it like that. But just because we can't hear it, can we say that it does not exist? We cannot say. So similarly, if something which is so limited, like let's just say, even if you want to learn physics, or if you want to learn biology, or we want to learn to be a doctor or a heart surgeon or a computer programmer or whatever, there's so much knowledge that is required. There's so much knowledge that is there. And our limited cranium cannot fit so much. Even if we were to say, okay, all right, so there's so many different fields of knowledge, right? What do people mainly go to school in America for? Are there like a few things like finance, like a technology related stuff, business, right? So all these things are there. And in order for a person to become specialized in one aspect of material knowledge, it may take their whole life. A person may be a really good brain surgeon, but does that mean he's a good heart surgeon? No. Why? Because he did not spend his time studying the heart. He did not spend his time studying how to operate on the heart. Right? It's a simple thing. It's a very simple thing to understand. So and even in order for someone to become a doctor, right? What is a doctor supposed to do? What does he do? A doctor. He fixes the body, right? A doctor fixes the body, and the word doctor itself is a very general term. The word doctor is a general term that doctor can mean so many different kinds of doctors. A doctor can be for for the digestion. A doctor can be for reproduction. A doctor can be for cancer only, or this only, or that only. That itself is a general term. But how does every doctor learn? What's the process? He goes to school and then he trains. It's called an apprentice, right? Apprenticeship, right? So he goes and he becomes an assistant of a doctor who already knows how to do. And I remember one of my cousin, actually, he is like a very smart, like, doctor guy, and I remember when he was just starting to he knew the book knowledge so well, inside out, upside down. He knew the book knowledge so well, but he wanted to go and study under a doctor, and his father was a doctor, and so is my uncle too. He's a doctor. So when they went into an operation room, and they were actually about to do the operation. Doctors are all like dressed up and decked up, and then they start to, like, I don't know if it's called slicing the body, but like piercing the body, like, to get into it and stuff like that. Dissecting, okay, yeah, dissect the body. Yes, slicing is really horrible. They're not trying to kill the guy, but anyway, they try to perform the operation, and the minute the doctor just did like his first thing on the body, they hear like a big thud, because my cousin was so nervous and he couldn't handle the sight of blood that he just fainted. He passed out. He was so nervous, like, I can't see this. Boom, he fell on the floor. But then after some time, like, the doctors advised him. They told him, actually, you do like this. It's not like that. We've done this and done that and done this and done that. And then finally, they were able to, he's finally now like a, big doctor, and like, he's like the injury guy. Anyway, whatever, now, before he would not be able to do it without the advice of other doctors. So similarly, a person who's a spiritual master, he is also a doctor. And what kind of a doctor is he? The spiritual master is a doctor of the soul, the doctor who removes the disease of material consciousness from a living entity. That is a spiritual master. A spiritual master is a person who helps remove the darkness of ignorance which is covering the living entity. And then, yes, there are prescribed, so when we go to a doctor, and after let's just say they treat us for a particular disease that we have, right? We may have this disease or that. What does the doctor do? Does he say, like, do whatever you want? You came and saw me, I bless you, you're good? No. What does the doctor do? He gives you a prescription, and what else does he do? Instructs you, but he tells you. I mean, do they? I don't know if they do it here. Like, they tell you what to eat and what not to eat. Otherwise, they just take a pill and come back 5 years later when you're even more messed up. Okay, that's usually not recommended. That usually when we anyway. What I've seen work is, I'm not a doctor by any way, shape, or form, but they give you like a few medicines and they tell you, yeah, don't eat this and don't eat that and eat this and eat that. That I guess if you have a cold, you're not recommended to eat an ice cream, right? Even here, right? Everywhere, right? So similarly, the spiritual master also gives a particular medicine in order to cure the disease of ignorance, which is shrouding the conditioned soul. And that disease, that we have, is called jaundice of avidya, or the jaundice of ignorance. Has anyone had jaundice before? Anyone? Yeah, you've had jaundice. So what happens when you have jaundice? You're not supposed to have salt, and your eyes and your body becomes like yellowish, right? It becomes yellowish. And what is the cure for jaundice? Candy, right? Did you say candy, or did I just like say the answer in my head and say it loud? You said that? You said candy? Or sugar? Okay, someone else. You said candy. Okay. So what did they do to cure you? Like, they gave you sugar or something, right? Uh-huh. Without salt. So the other recommended process for jaundice too is that you eat sugar candy. That you eat sugar, and the greatest medicine for jaundice is actually sugar. That, like, sugar candy. Yes. I'm not sure about the details, but like, this is really in Ayurveda, at least. There's this medicine that they give. It's rock candy, it's sugar candy. And the minute a person who has jaundice tastes sugar, it's actually bitter, and they spit it out. Can you imagine being so sick that sugar tastes bitter? It's so sick. But then what is the solution? That you simply keep taking the sugar candy until you start to taste the sweetness. And the minute we start taking tasting the sweetness, and at that point of time, our jaundice disease goes away. So similarly, there's this really ecstatic verse in the Nectar of Instruction. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintva Daradhanudinam Kalu Saiva Chishta Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Sat Tadgada Mula Hantri. That the holy name, character, and Krishna and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. That we may have this disease, is avidya, that of ignorance, and we do not know what to do. But the bona fide spiritual master gives us a prescription and gives us a diet, and he tells us how real spiritual life starts. It's not that here's a book, and just follow what's in the book, and you don't need a guru. But why? The book itself says you need a guru. Spiritual master is needed in order for one to make advancement in their spiritual life. Therefore, that spiritual life, it always starts with one sense organ, and that's the tongue. Sevon mukehi jivado swayameva spuratida. That the tongue is completely needed for a person to make advancement in their spiritual life. Why? Because what do we do with the tongue? We do two things. We speak and we eat. Right? Chant and speak is the same thing, right? So, we speak and we eat. Right? We make sound vibration and we eat. These are the two things which we do with the tongue. So This, and I was telling my telling my friends recently also that sound can do two things. It can entangle one and it can liberate one. How does sound entangle a person? How does sound entangle a person? Rock, okay, yes, rock and roll is one example. That's but a general way of saying it, the way sound entangles a person is if they are listening to sound which has nothing to do with transcendental subject matter. Where if the sound vibrations that we are listening to is simply on the basis of the material world, or simply on the basis of matter, then at that point of time, our consciousness and everything we are attracted to is also going to be attracted to this temporary object. And because these objects are temporary, we will not be able to get. Can we get eternal happiness from a temporary object? By definition, we can. But sound, when it's used to glorify eternal objects, eternal activities, eternal pastimes, eternal things, then at that point of time we can expect to get eternal happiness from an eternal object. We cannot experience to find a permanent situation in an impermanent world. We cannot expect to find permanent happiness from an impermanent object. But these names to Krishna, everything that the spiritual master gives, is actually has everything to do with transcendental subject matters. As some transcendental means what? Transcendental means not of this world, not of this world. But nowadays you'll see there's so many self-fashioned gurus. They say, I am God, you are God, we're all God. One guy, a big beard guy. I guess all of the phony gurus have big beards these days. But he says, squeeze your nose like this and squeeze your nose like that, and do like this, ooh ooh ooh, and then after some time you become God in 6 months. And then there's more. Then there's another guy who says the way to self-realization is through sex. And then there's another one, who says, that what is it? Yes, what you really need to do is you can just chant this mantra, you can take drugs, you can do all these things, but you'll be completely fine. And another one, very famous for this, he said, by taking LSD, just by taking LSD, then at that point of time, you can completely transcend this material world. But then why don't we see so many saints who've taken LSD? So many people who've taken so many drugs, why don't we see them becoming great saints? Why not? Why? Because by nature, something material cannot give rise to something spiritual. Just like if you want to taste sugar, will you eat a lot of salt? You can eat a lot of salt, but you'll never get a taste of sugar. So similarly, the more we indulge ourselves in this material world and with the material senses, with material sense objects, we will not get a realization of something that is spiritual. It's common sense, right? It's logical. It makes sense, right? That something salty will not give you a taste of something sweet will not give you a taste of something salty. So similarly, we are here in this material world and we're completely covered over by the different modes of nature. And we're thinking that this matter is meant for my enjoyment, and this all these other things are meant for my enjoyment. But unfortunately, the more we try to think like this, the more we try to enjoy this material world, the more we try to indulge our senses, the more frustrated we become. The more frustrated we become. And so many people, they may have so many facilities to just go and enjoy this material world. Yes, just go and enjoy this material world. Yes, you're bored here, go there. If you're bored there, go here. If you go here, go there. And wherever you go, we'll always find dissatisfaction. You'll always find dissatisfaction. Why? Because this matter by nature is meant to dissatisfy us, because it does not quench our thirst of eternal happiness. That's why, I remember for the first time when I went to England, and, we're coming from, I went to England from America. And then in America, in England, I don't remember which airport I had landed in. I don't remember which airport in Europe or wherever, the first thing I landed. And the first advertisement is, go to New York. It's so good in New York. And I was thinking, I just came from New York to enjoy here. But then they're asking me to go to New York, and and then when you go to another place, they say, go to this place, and then go to that place. Why? Because happiness is always just around the corner, but it never really comes about. It's like a donkey, like in India, a washerman, how you have people who do laundry for you here. I mean, like the higher class of people, they have a person who does laundry. Or even I remember in laundromats, you can pay someone to do their laundry, and they'll wash your clothes, dry your clothes, fold your clothes, and have them good to go by the time you come back or something like this. You know, in India also there's a washerman, and then he has a donkey. His donkey is like his guy, and on the back of the donkey he loads him up with so many clothes, such a big clothes, and he wants the donkey to move forward. So what does he do for the donkey to move forward? He keeps he he hits it also, but he gives it positive inspiration also, right? So in order for it to give it positive inspiration, he takes a stick, and on the end of the stick is a carrot, and he dangles it right in front of the donkey. And the donkey thinks, I'm just about to get if I move a little bit forward, I'll get the carrot. If I move a little bit forward, I'll get the carrot. But the more the donkey moves forward, the more the carrot moves forward. And they move forward and they move forward and they move forward until the guy finally reaches his destination. And then he probably doesn't even get the carrot. He just gets some grass. And then when he has to leave again, put the carrot in the front. But that is like our illusion. We're chasing after an illusion. We're chasing after an illusion. This is the more we try to chase after material perfection. Is there anyone who's ever attained material perfection? Who is like a material hero, like in this world? You are. The little girl is raising her hand. She, who is like the guy that people look up to, or the girl, or whatever? LeBron James. People look up to LeBron James, and he's called King James, because he threw like so many times a ball in a basket, and now he's called King James. But then what happened to the king? He got dethroned. He just very embarrassingly. I see the news every day for 3 minutes. That's how I know. Trust me, I'm not watching basketball all day. So really. So it's said that they lost four. They played. They were supposed to play 7 games or something, and they played 4 games against a team, and they lost 4. All 4 games they lost. What happened to the king? What happened to him? How embarrassing should it be for a person's ego? How embarrassing should it be that you're like the stuff, you're like the guy, and this and that, and then you're defeated. You're defeated. How will that feel? How will that feel? It must be a very disturbing thing. It must be a very disturbing thing. So, we see this, we see that in this material world, there is no permanent situation. There is no real satisfaction. That even the person that everyone would look up to, for some people, just to attain like a particular position itself will be very like amazing. I remember, my grandfather was one of the richest men in India, and he's gone now. But there were so many people who would aspire to come to our status and like, wow, of wealth and this and that. But then even among the people of such a high status, there's like this whole like social circle, and then even among that, there's like this same kind of dissatisfaction, envy, hatred, backbiting, and all these things. Even in that circle, no matter which circle we're in, no matter what social status we're on, that envy and that backbiting and all these things are always there. They're always there. That maybe before people used to, in one status of life, people used to like, try to flex like $500. I remember being young, that when the friends would go out, they would all have like at least $500 in cash, they would flex that. But then like in a different circle, maybe they'd flex like $5,000 or $10,000. And in another circle, they may flex like a few $1,000,000 or something. But the flexing is the same. They want to show off, and the envy is the same, and all these things are the same. Why? Because it's of this material world. Because it is like this, it is like this. Then there is only so much sense gratification available. Okay, let's just say there's only 20% sense, or like 20% sense gratification available, and then there's 80% of people. So what does that mean? Okay, of this 20% sense gratification available, and there's 100% of people. What does that mean by nature? By nature, it means that there'll be only 20% who are enjoying the sense gratification, and the other 80% is going to come after this sense gratification. They're going to come after it. They're going to go for it. And therefore, that's why there is no peace. Because there is a limited supply and there's unlimited demand. What's going to happen if there's limited supply and unlimited demand? There's going to be war. There's going to be pestilence. There's going to be what is it, inequality. There is going to be dissatisfaction. There's going to be so many things. So many things are going to be there. And the more a person makes sense gratification the goal of their life, the more a person will suffer in this world. The more a person will suffer. Because there is never enough. There is never enough. There's a limited supply. And because there's a limited supply, then someone is going to be really miserable. Most people are going to be really miserable. And if most people are going to be really miserable, what does that mean? That there's going to be some people who have it, but do the people who have it, are they happy? No. What are they thinking? They're thinking that, how am I going to protect this? How am I going to protect it from this person? How can I keep myself on this higher platform? And they're always in anxiety also. They're always in anxiety. Some people, I've seen personally, that they have so much wealth, they have all these things, they cannot go to sleep without getting intoxicated. They have to drink, or they have to smoke, or they have to take a pill, sleeping pill to sleep. How miserable. You can't even sleep. Imagine you're so much in anxiety that you have to smoke or drink or take a pill to sleep. Isn't that miserable? That's so miserable that people do not even have the peace of mind to do this. Not even the simple peace of mind. It's not even like something fantastic or something wonderful. It's just sleeping. Animals get to live better. Why? Because that much anxiety is not there. But then the more a person burns with ambition, the more miserable they become. They can burn with ambition. Yes, I'm going to get this. I'm going to do like this. And I'm going to become such a successful materialist. But then even the more successful materialist does not have everything under his control. The most successful materialists. So much so that even sometimes the most successful materialists commit suicide and kill themselves. Why? Because they understand, they reach a particular status and they have experienced everything that they wanted to experience, and they thought that if I did this, and this, and if I made so much money and I did this activity and that activity, then at that point of time, I will actually become happy. I will actually gain the happiness that I always wanted. But then when you finally reach there, and you reach that status, and you reach that goal, and you see that it's not what it is, and you see your entire life go by, whether you've earned and struggled so hard to get this, then what's the use? Everything collapses. Everything comes down. It's like a very depressing thing, It's like a promise that's never fulfilled. Imagine working hard your whole life, and then you're promised a certain goal. At the end of that life, and you end of all your hard work, you realize that it's simply a useless waste of time. How disappointing will it be? So many people are so rich and wealthy. They're so rich and wealthy, but then their own children hate them. Their own families hate them. They do. Why? Because the ambition burns so deeply. The ambition burns so deeply that they neglect even the most, even their own mother, their own father, or their own wife or kids. And then anytime there's a problem, throw money at the problem. There's a common phrase, right? Throwing money at a problem. What does that mean? Not actually giving it attention. Anything happens, throw money at it. Like, yeah, hopefully this will fix it. You're sad? Here's $50,000. And then you may get those $50,000, but you may get more entangled. We can throw money at we can do all these things. But the bona fide spiritual master helps us distinguish reality from illusion. Helps us understand that in this material world, there is no happiness. We're looking for love in this material world. There is no love in this material world. Love is for Krishna. The spiritual master drills it in our heads that there is no love in this material world. That love is for Krishna. Because we understand that, yes, they say, oh, no, that's not true. There is love in this material world. I love, my mom loves me and my dad loves me. And yes, that is true. Like, that there is a certain amount of affection in this material world. No denying that. No denying it. Prabhupada said that the closest experience that one can have to the love that's in the spiritual world is the love between a mother and her child. That's like the purest form of love, right? Because a mother sacrifices so much and does all these things, and that looks really amazing. But then, I remember I was talking to a new person about this. Well, let's just say, that you're born into a family Everyone loves you in the family and all these things. But then, like, but your neighbors, your family hates your neighbors because they're like rascals and fools and demons and all these things. Now, somehow, you were born in this family, therefore they all love you. But if you, the same person, was born next door, would your family still love you? No. What does that mean? Huh? It's conditional. It's conditional. Why? Because we're conditioned living entities. They will not love. Oh yeah, I freaking love this guy. He's my brother, because he's born. But if he was born to someone else, you won't think he's your brother. That deep affection that's there is such an illusion. It's based on the body. It's based on the body. It's based on the skin disease. The skin disease. What skin diseases are there? So many skin diseases may be there. We may think, oh, if I have this color of skin, then the person with that color of skin, I hate that color of skin. Or we may think that, this or that. We may have so much illusion, so many different kinds of illusions we may be there. And, karma, the way it works is if a person with one skin color hates another person with another skin color, and they hate them so much that they die thinking of the person with the other skin color, most likely they will get the same form that they've been meditating on at the time of death. Now, let's just say, okay, at least in the past, India and Pakistan were two enemy countries. And they would fight and they would kill, and it's like a serious thing, and there's all this stuff going on. So let's just say, the Indians made it their life goal to hate the Pakistanis and kill them, and the Pakistanis made it their life goal to hate the Indians and kill them. And at the time of death, the Indians are thinking about the Pakistanis, how they're going to kill them, and the Pakistanis are going to think of the Indians, how they're going to kill them. And then at the time of death, the way it happens is the Indians, because they're meditating so much on the Pakistanis, become Pakistanis in their next life, and the Pakistanis are meditating so much on the Indians, become Indians in their next life, and the war goes on, and the hate goes on. Because love and hate and all these other things based on the bodily conception of life are temporary. And the spiritual master teaches us to distinguish reality from illusion. The spiritual master teaches us how we should not be conditioned in this bodily conception of life. The spiritual master helps us get off the mental platform. This mental platform, there's different kind of anxieties, right? There's misery that arises from the body. But what's even more miserable is the misery that arises from the mind, right? The mind causes us so much misery, so much distress. It's like, if we do not have a fixed goal, then our mind takes us here and takes us there and takes us here and takes us there. It's like sitting in a bus or sitting in a car with a drunken driver. Has anyone had that experience of sitting in a car with a drunken driver? Yes, no? Wow, okay, okay, that's what I'm saying, get real, come on. Okay, and so, we've had experiences, and it's really scary, right? Especially in India, sometimes, the guy is driving a bus down the hill full of like pilgrims, and he's drunk. I've seen this. Drunk out of his mind. My spiritual master was also talking about this. I've seen it personally in Yadirigutta. The guy is so drunk, they put the bus in like full gear, and they drive here and there, and it's completely ridiculous. It's like being in it's so scary. And especially in this place of pilgrimage I'm talking about, it's so weird that some of these guys get drunk in a place of pilgrimage. But there's this hill that goes down, and if the driver is so drunk that so many times pilgrims get killed. So in busloads of them. Why? Because of the drunken driver. Because of drunken drivers. So similarly, even we're on the mental platform, it's like sitting sitting in a car, with a drunken driver, where we go here and we go there, and we go here and we go there, and we're constantly moving from one goal to another. And then there's a certain kind of misery that's born out of indecisiveness. Haven't anyone ever experienced it? Like you don't really know what to do, and you just you don't know where to go. And there's no clear direction, and maybe I'll go here, then by the time you go here, then maybe I'll go there, and maybe I'll some of the most miserable students that I came across when I was in university are those who had their majors as undecided. The undecided homies was suffering. They were suffering to the core, because they would think, I'm going to do chemistry, and they go to chemistry class. I'm going to do physics, and they go to physics. I don't do computers, and at the end of 2 years, what are you going to do? I still haven't decided. Why? 2 years, bro? 2 years is enough time for you to decide, But like, and they have to take all the extra classes too, and like they were like pretty miserable. At least the ones that I knew. I'm sure there's some cool undecided homies out there, but the ones that I met, they were really miserable because they did not know what to do in life. They did not know where to go, which goal, this way, that way, this way. They had no clue. They did not know. Therefore, they suffered. Therefore, they did not. But the spiritual master gives a perfect vision, tells you this is the goal of life. And sometimes, we even tell, people when we're out there. I said this in class once before. We're out there distributing, distributing books. I should say, did any one of you get book numbers in a Walmart? Anyone? Okay, no. Sometimes, or like in a music festival or something like this, where we're not allowed to, we're not officially allowed to distribute books. We go and we distribute books, and the authorities come and like, sir, you're not allowed to do this. But we tell them, officer, we're helping kids get off the mental platform. So if you can please let us do this. And sometimes they feel like, you know what, you're doing the right thing. Yes. You're doing the work of God here, helping people get off the mental platform. That's really good. And then they think it's like a really, and it is a really amazing thing. Because we are by giving people this transcendental knowledge and by giving them the association of devotees, at that point of time, people finally have a clear conception of life. We firstly, like our body, we are suffering with the skin disease. We're thinking, I'm this body, I'm this, and all that, and all this, and all that. But then what's even more suffering for the mind is that we're chasing after beauty, which is skin deep. How deep is your skin? The beauty we're chasing after is skin deep. The happiness that we're experiencing is skin deep. It's superficial. It's superficial. That, there's love. There's so much talk about love, and there's love and joy, love, and all this stuff, But there is no love in this material world. Love is for Krishna. People say, I love you. A wife can tell the husband, I really love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Like, thank you so much. I'm really hungry. Can you cook for me? No, but I love you. I love you so much that I won't even cook for you, although you're asking me 10 times. I love you so much. But there is no love without surrender. Right? There is no love without surrender. The husband can tell the wife, I love you so much. I love you so much. But then I'm not going to, okay, that's really awesome. But, we need to pay the rent. And we need to take care of Johnny, Jackie, and Jimmy. And can you go and work now? But I love you. Will anyone accept such a person? No. There is no love without surrender. It doesn't come cheap. It doesn't come cheap. A spiritual master teaches us how to surrender to Krishna. And in surrender, there is difficulty. Certainly. Certainly there is difficulty in surrendering. And does anyone have a job where they have no problems whatsoever? They love the boss, love their coworkers, and love everything about their job? Anyone? I can raise my hand. But, but out there we see, there's so much suffering out there in this material world. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. How many people really love what they're doing? Not so many people. Why? Because anyway, that's a whole other thing, but I'll just make this one point. Because we're infected by this whole one-size-fits-all consciousness, one kind of education for everyone, one kind of this and one kind of that. When although they're performing jobs which they don't like, with people that they don't like, but why are they going and doing what they're doing? They're surrendering, they're making a sacrifice. They're doing all these things for what? For this simple reason, because they, are attached to their family. They love their family because they're doing this. They're doing it, like sometimes, say like, man, I would really like, we're distributing books and they say, I'd really like to give you a donation, but I need it for my kids, man. And like, and some people really mean it that, dude, if I gave you this, my son won't eat today. It's like, okay, all right, I at least take a free magazine. But we see that people work so hard. They go through all these hardships. They work 2 jobs, a day job and a night job. And we know someone who works 3 jobs, a day job, I don't know, night job, and middle job. Anyway, something like that. I don't know. I guess there's 24 hours in a day, and if you work 8 hours for each job, I don't know how they manage their life. But there's people who do it. Do y'all know someone who does it? You know someone, see, I know someone too. So, they do it. They work 3 jobs, and then why? Because all in order to provide and all for them to do it. Therefore, but they work so hard and all these things. But what is the end result? What is in the end result? That this material world is conditioned in such a way that the person who is being served is not satisfied with the service, and the person who's serving is also not satisfied by trying to serve the other person. The servant, the service, and the served are not satisfied. They're not happy. There's always something better to do. You could always do something better. There's always like, the boss may be expecting something, and you may go and do a particular thing, but then, it's okay, but it could be better. It could be better, Especially if we are perfectionists, We're trying to find a perfect situation in this imperfect world, And there is certainly a certain amount of dissatisfaction that arises from such an attitude, from such a thing like that. Then the service is not fulfilling because, most people while working their jobs think, I'd rather be doing something else. I'd rather be doing something else. A person who is, serving also, he may also think, oh man, this is really not satisfying. But the spiritual master gives us an opportunity, gives us a way by which that we can perform our service, and the servant, the service, and the served are all satisfied. That is spiritual life. The spiritual master gives us a clear direction. He gives us a proper medicine for our material conditioning. We may think that, what is this? If I just chant this, you guys can please chant this Maha Mantra with me. Can you please, this mantra on the back? Can you please say Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna? Krishna Krishna? Hare Hare? Hare Rama? Hare Rama? Rama Rama? Hare Hare. I didn't really hear y'all. Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna? Krishna Krishna? Hare Hare? Hare Rama? Hare Rama? Rama Rama? Hare Hare. That by chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the jaundice of ignorance is completely destroyed from the root. By following this process, by associating with devotees, by doing all these things, a person gets the greatest boon of devotional service. Because after millions and millions of births, Brahmanda Brahmate Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Beach, after millions and millions and millions of births, finally the living entity is coming to the platform of serving an eternal object, of being an eternal servant, of having an eternal service. Finally, after such a long time, a living entity comes to understand this. And then how does this take place? It takes place when the living entity finally sincerely desires to know the absolute truth. That this whole material world is actually simply an attitude correctional facility. We have an attitude of trying to enjoy this material world. We have this attitude of trying to enjoy matter for ourselves. But the minute we desire to change our attitude, all help is given. Everything that is needed, whatever we may need, is all given to us in order to help fix our problems. Whatever problems we may have, whatever misunderstandings we may have, immediately Krishna, the minute we have a desire to sincerely know Krishna, to sincerely know the absolute truth, somehow or the other, like a person comes, a person may come. I know Matsya Prabhu, like he found, he really wanted to know and understand it, and then on his school, in the middle of nowhere, on his meditation, in the meditation room in the school, there was a book, one of the books that we have there, and he read that, and his life changed. A person may sincerely want to know, then all of a sudden they run into a person who's, distributing books, and then they get the whole books, and their whole lives are changed. Why? Because finally, their sincere prayers were answered. The sincere prayers were answered. And the minute a person is sincere enough to understand and realize all these things, then at that point of time, all facility is given. All facility is given. That's why the most important thing to do in spiritual life is to simply show up. If you simply show up, 80% of your work is already done. It's already done. Let's just say, that the most important part of going to a job interview is to show up to the job interview, right? Just by showing up, your chances of getting the job, are already there. But if you don't even show up, then what's the use? So similarly, we're having programs like this. We have a program now, with, like every Sunday like this. And then we have a program starting at 4:30 a.m. every day. Try to show up for that. You'll see how much of a difference it makes, right? You guys can see, like, it's probably your first time yesterday. Like, how was your experience, showing up and like doing the whole thing? It's like, it's so ecstatic, just having all the devotees chanting and dancing at 4:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning. It's such an ecstatic experience. And just by showing up, we make so much advancement. Just by showing up to the Sunday program like this, you will make so much advancement. Even if you hate our philosophy and if you hate our music, our kirtan, but I promise you, you will love the food. 110.5%. 108%. You will love the food no matter what. You're like, I hate this guy, I hate all this, I hate this, but I love this plate of halwa. And I love these pakoras. And yes, you can tell me whatever you want as long as you're going to give me this. And it is not just some mundane Indian food that you can get in an Indian restaurant. Me being this body, being from India, I've eaten in so many Indian restaurants and so many Indian things. And I was actually telling some of the devotees, I don't remember who it was. Yeah, the first time I had actually taken prasadam. Prasadam means food cooked and offered to Krishna with love. You can see this, the curtains are closed. Why? Because Krishna is being offered the food that we cook with love and devotion to Krishna. And then after Krishna enjoys it with his transcendental senses, then when it's served out, then that food becomes transcendentalized. The same material, everyone's tasted salt before. Everyone's tasted, different spices before, and rice and wheat and sweets and sugar and all these things before. But these material elements are transcendentalized by the spiritual element known as devotional service, known as bhakti, which the spiritual master engages a person in. And the minute the spiritual master engages a person in this Krishna consciousness, in this act of devotional service, he teaches the disciple to transcendentalize their material existence. How to transcendentalize this material world, how to transcendentalize your material life, how to make your material life into spiritual life. The bona fide spiritual master gives this condition, gives this idea. So therefore, when we take this prasadam, it's so much different than any other food that we may have eaten. Any other food. Why? Because it's the love and devotion to Krishna, which is the secret ingredient. It's a secret ingredient. We were Matsya, Prabhu, and myself were shooting books at a store yesterday, and then there was this guy from Brazil or Portugal. Where was he from? Anyway, so I met him, and then I told him, do you want some sweets? We made some sweets or some pop sugar or something like that. And then, he's like, no. I said, you got to try this, man. And then, he came out, okay. And he, we gave him, some of these sweets. We call it Guru Prasad, by the way. But, we gave him some of these sweets. And he ate it, and he's like, wow, this is so good. It's so nice. Where can I find this? Where can I find it? Will I find it in the store? I said, you may not really find it. Even if you find it in the store, you have to offer it to Krishna. Only then it'll taste so good. She's like, okay, all right, I'll work on that. And I said, okay, then you take this Bhagavad Gita and buy it, and this Bhagavad Gita will teach you how to make all your food taste like this. And then he bought the book, and then he said, before I go, can I have some more sweets? I said, absolutely, my man. Then I gave him a whole lot. You know why? Because it is the transcendentalizing of the senses. His spiritual life started with his tongue. He tasted this prasadam and his life changed. Oh my God, it's so amazing. It's so amazing. It's so ecstatic. It's so nectarian. And the more a person, involves themselves, in working on this process of transcendentalizing their existence, the happier they will be. The happier they will be. We are not, many people think that spiritual life means starve your senses. No sense gratification. Nothing whatsoever. Do not do this. There's no eating, no sleeping, no mating, and no defending. And, you guys have to just eat leaves at best or just breathe air. But no, spiritual life is not like that. You can see, when people come here, we recommend that they eat so much and we eat so much more, and then take to-go containers for them to go and eat some more later. This is a recommendation. Why is this a recommendation? Because the more one associates with Krishna, the more one actually becomes perfect. The more one actually becomes perfect in their spiritual life. That's why I'll end my class by quoting this really awesome verse from the Bhagavatam. This really changed my life when I first said it, actually. It's Kamasya nindriya priti labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa narto yasheha karma bihi. That life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's life's work, or of one's works. There's a very important thing to understand that this is a goal of life. The goal of life is to inquire into the nature of the absolute truth. And whatever else we may need in order for us to inquire into the nature of the absolute truth, that we take. It's just like this, and I was giving the example just recently. I heard it in a Prabhupada lecture, a Prabhupada memory, where the example is given of salt. Has anyone eaten food without salt before? Yes. Does it taste good? No. But then the minute you add salt, enough salt, then it actually tastes good, right? But then if you over salt it, does it taste good? No. What do you say? It's like poison, actually. If you over salt your food, it tastes like poison, right? Therefore, the sense gratification of whatever material facilities that we need are just like salting our food exactly right. Whatever, how much ever salt we need. Different people have. Some people may find. I know some devotees, they can't take so much salt. They can't take so much salt, and some other devotees, they need a little more salt. But all these things, but that's fine. But how much ever salt is needed for a person for their food to taste better? That's how much salt that a person takes. They do not undersalt it. They do not oversalt it. They salt it just right. So similarly, the sense gratification that's available even in Krishna consciousness is just enough. It's regulated sense gratification. It's regulated just enough to keep the body and the soul together in order for us to go on in our spiritual life. So it's a very simple thing. The bona fide spiritual master gives us a perfect prescription. And the best prescription actually is in these books, is in these books of knowledge. This big Ram can show them. We have this huge set right there, the Srimad Bhagavatam. And just by reading this Bhagavatam, a person can come in touch with the highest knowledge and can come in touch with the devotees of Krishna. The Bhagavatam will help them understand Krishna consciousness better. And every day we have a class on this Bhagavatam. So our humble request is, please keep coming back. Please simply show up. Just by showing up, so much advancement will be there. So much advancement will be there. So I'll end the class over here. If there's any questions, comments, or protests, please don't throw eggs. You can throw tomatoes because we're vegetarians. But yes, are there any questions or comments or protests? You can raise your hands. Yes, Rati Mataji. Is the mic going around Jidagirish, or it's gone back home, back to Godhead? Okay. The mic is gone back home. Yes. You could turn the camera around or whatever. Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So should we hate our mom and say, Mom, I joined the Krishna conscious movement at the age of 19, but actually you're not really my mom, and I'm not really my body, and all this year service that you've done for me, 19 years, well, that's all an illusion, so don't ever talk to me again. No, we don't, that's not recommended. But we see everything in relationship to Krishna. And sometimes, we see, especially newer devotees, that say, I'm just going to hate I'm never going to talk to my mom. I'm going to be all rude and nasty with them. We tell them, how can you go and tell everyone about love for Krishna, but if you can't even show gratitude to your own parents, But we understand their position, understand their relationship. We look at them in their relationship with Krishna. We are grateful. We're grateful for all the things all the sacrifices our parents made for us. We're grateful for all these things that they've done. But the love which is not centered on Krishna, but is centered on something else, is temporary. Therefore, we should actually do the ultimate spiritual benefit. That by focusing on Krishna, by focusing on devotional service, we see our parents in relationship to that also. Does that make sense, Mataji? Yes? Okay, awesome. Anything else? Yes. Geronald. Hare Krishna. Could we define unlimited bliss? Well, by definition, you can't. Unlimited cannot be defined. But there is unlimited. It's just like this. So I was talking to Robert. On Saturday, right? On Friday, I was talking to Robert on Friday, and I was giving this example of like listening to your favorite song, right? And his favorite song was "Is This Love" by Bob Marley, right? Like, is this love? Is this love that I'm feeling, or something like that, And like, and the whole song, I guess I just know that one thing because it's so famous. Is this love is that I'm feeling? And then I told him, so if I were to keep you in a room and I'm going to give you all the food and all these things that you desire, but the whole time when you're in the room for the next 30 years, you're going to be listening to Is This Love? Is that the name of the song? Is This Love by Bob Marley? Will that listening of that song be relishable? After like 1 or 2 days, maybe 1 week, maybe one week max. At that point, you will not be feeling love. You will be feeling hate. Yes, you will be feeling hate towards that thing. But by chanting Hare Krishna for years and years and years and years and years and years, that chanting of Hare Krishna becomes sweeter and sweeter over time. Right? We have many devotees, a senior devotee, like for example, Ranchor Prabhu, he's been chanting for 30, 40 years. Do you get bored of it? Do you think like, oh my God, my rounds again, this same mantra? Do you feel like that? No, how does it feel? Like, what is your experience? It is actually, it is real. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? If you try it, you'll know. You try it out we have the Hare Krishna challenge, where you can, you can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. You can chant it every day for 5 or 10 minutes in the morning, every day for 1 week, and see how much of a difference it makes in your life. You'll actually look forward to it. You look forward to it. You look forward to actually doing it because we are coming in touch with Krishna himself. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Siddho Nitya Mukta Abhinatvam Nama Namino. Then the holy name of Krishna is not different from Krishna. It's like a desire-fulfilling tree. It finally gives us that sense of happiness that we can actually experience. And that is an example of this. That's an example of this. And not just that, there's this really amazing verse. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtana Anu Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyoja. What is it? Swavi Kramat Bhavati Tat Gadamula Hantri. This is really ecstatic verse in the Nectar of Instruction, which I certainly should revise because I forgot. I was right. You confused me. Tishtan Vrajeta Ragi Jananugami Kalam Naida Kilamup Ityupadesha Saram. Then, the essence of all advice. What is the essence of all advice, sir? The essence of all advice is to go to college? No. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Goloka Vrindavan, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. This is an ecstatic verse. And, we can experience this day by day. You may think that, some of us have been distributing these transcendental books for a long time. It may look like, oh man, it's like the same activity and they're doing the same books and they may say the same lines. No, I change my lines like all the time. But, some devotees, I know one devotee, I think Vijay Prabhu, right? Mashiach, what's his line? What's Vijay Prabhu's line? Sorry. Believe it or not, I'm a monk from California. And, he says that to everyone all the time, and he wears the same, the same like yogi pants and like a saffron t-shirt, like, I'm a monk from California, believe it or not. And then he just says that every single day for the past 40 years. Come on, you may think, Prabhu, even I change the line. Come on, and even when we're distributing, I took him to like an Indian grocery store. I told him, Prabhu, like over here, we got like a few different lines. And even to them, he meets like an Indian, like, I'm a monk, I'm a yogi from California, believe it or not. And they're like, oh, very good, very good. And the guy, and they end up buying, buying the books from him, It's amazing. How you may think, this is so limited, but no, there's transcendental ecstasy, in performing this, and the realization by associating with Krishna's name and by engaging in devotional activity, it becomes deeper and deeper and deeper as time goes on. Does that? I'm sorry, that was a super long answer, but is that okay? Okay, I'll what's it called? A home run? Anyway, whatever. So, anything else? Yes, sir. What does Hare Krishna mean? So this whole Hare Krishna Mahamantra, these are different names of Krishna. So Hari means energy of Krishna. Krishna means the all-attractive person. And Rama means a a reservoir or a container of unlimited happiness. How can unlimited happiness be contained in something? Well, that's why the answer is the term is reservoir. A reservoir. I'm probably not saying it right. Am I saying it right? Okay, a reservoir of unlimited happiness. So when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we're saying, "Oh Krishna, oh energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service." Because happiness comes from serving. Even on this material world, on the material platform, the mother feels great joy by serving the child, right? It's not like so many mothers are there, and then it's like the mom goes to bed at like 10 at night, and like she finds a hard time falling asleep, and she finally falls asleep at 12:30, and then like 12:30, wah, the baby starts crying. And then the mom, they're like, "Oh my god, baby, I hate this baby, let me go and like put the baby on the seat." Does the mom think like that? No, the mom like, "Wow, Jay, baby's crying," and then like does like the la la la, boo 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 or whatever, and puts and changes the diapers in the middle of the night, and freaking like, goes back to sleep, and then finally again the baby does, rah, and like, oh my god. And then finally and then I've seen this, my brother too, like he goes and like my brother has to take care of his kid. Finally he gets to sleep, and his alarm goes off to wake up in the morning to go to work. But do the parents think that, oh man, this freaking kid, I wish why are you here? The mom is like, "Wow, Jai, so nice. Baby cried," and like tell her mom, "Yeah, the baby cried 6 times a night. It was so nice." I think like, what the heck is this? But that's the nature. When you serve, you feel happiness. You feel loved. You feel you feel ecstasy. So similarly, when we serve Krishna, then we feel great happiness also. So therefore, we are chanting Hare Krishna to get the opportunity to serve Krishna. And different people can serve Krishna differently. Like for example, this is like my greatest example I experienced recently. That there's this really awesome guy called Anthony. Where is he? Anthony. Okay, he's not here. But we had like this lawn. We have this lawn, and it was, I don't know what happened. I think like every time we were about to mow it would start raining or something like that, or like the lazy brahmacharis were praying, "Krishna, please let it rain so I don't have to mow the lawn." But anyway, I was something like that. But every time we started to mow the lawn, it would start to rain or something like, "Oh Prabhu, it's Saturday, we have to go out on books," and like this or that. The guy anyway. So but the lawn, it's like growing up like this, I was thinking, what the heck is this? And then me and Vishnu were thinking like, "Bro, what is this, man? We got to mow the lawn, like you and me. Who's going to do it?" And then right when we were thinking like this, Anthony like pulls up in like this full gear, like full on, like what's it, the reindeer? What's it called, much here? The John Deere, not reindeer. That's Santa. He pulls up on John Deere like thing, and like he like takes care of the whole lawn, and he does it. I'm like, "Anthony," he said, "You like, yeah, man, I thought I'll do a little service for Krishna. So that's amazing. The guy came and like mowed the whole lawn, and the next day was a Sunday program, and like the lawn looks good. Like, yeah, we work hard here, man. And it works out. It worked out. He performed that kind of service. Some people, they may contribute, to, for example, like, we're serving this feast, and Rishi Kumar Prabhu sponsored today's feast. Thank you, Rishi. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for sponsoring. But people may give like their hard-earned wealth to sponsor the feast for everyone to eat. And then some other people. Actually, what's the date today? It's today the 4th of June. Oh, actually, no, not Rishi Kumar. That was Rishi Kumar's for next week. But there's this Mataji. Her name is. Oh my God, I'm forgetting. How can I forget her name? Oh, Vrindavani Mataji. Anyway, I'll pick, but for her son, for her son's birthday or something like that, she sponsored the feast, because she did that. And then there's other people may be there. They may like to clean, like for example, we have the small Mataji over there, the small girl. She also goes and cleans the pots, or not the pots. She cleans something. I never go in there, but she cleans something in there. Everyone does some kind of service. So when we chant Hare Krishna, then we actually pray to Krishna to serve Krishna. Is that okay? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm on like the super long, drawn out answer mode right now. Is there anything else? From anyone else? Yes. You look like you look like you're about to say something. You don't have to say something if you want. Were you going to say something? Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, you're talking about how beauty's only skin deep.
Yeah.
Like
Turn the camera, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about how beauty's skin deep. Another example of this is a girl and a guy get together and he says,
Facts.
"Your eyes are so beautiful."
Oh no.
These beautiful
Been there,
blue
done that.
eyes. And he goes in the daydream whenever he sees them. And so the and she's got sunglasses on. She says, "I have a present for you. It's wrapped really nicely." And he opens it up, and it's two eyeballs.
Oh my Lord, that's scary. Is that like a true story?
Akila Darko.
Okay, oh my God, that's scary. That girl must be a self-realized yogi or something. But then what happens after that?
He throws up.
He throws up, and then and then he realizes that, oh wow, beauty is skin deep.
Yep.
Beauty is skin deep. You think, oh wow, bro, she's so pretty, bro. Yeah, and then then will you care about her 50 years from now? No. Everyone thinks like, I really love her. No, I swear, bro. I remember some people like, bro, I really love her. I really, really love her. I said, bro, that's what you said like 3 weeks ago about another girl. I know I was lying then, but bro, I really, really love her, bro. And really, that's so amazing, dude. But why? I always wondered this. Why doesn't a young guy ever fall in love with the old granny who can't walk and has no teeth and can barely see? Why doesn't the young guy fall in love with her? But he always rather falls in love with the young, attractive girl and all that. Why not with a really old grandma who's blind, who's deaf, who can't really eat or speak or do anything? Why? Why? Because it's not love, it's lust. But for Krishna, it's not like that. We have ever increasing, unlimited happiness by serving Krishna. Anyway, anything else? Am I going to? Okay, I'm going way over the top here. Okay, so all right, thank you all for your kind attention. And you can turn off the TV. I just have a few announcements to make, and we'll get right into the kirtan and what I've been talking about the whole time, the prasadam that I've been waiting for too. I'm hungry myself. So okay, so we have a few announcements. I'm going